Good afternoon. My name is Josh Wilson, and today I'm going to be going through the Xero Tips and Tricks seminar that we ran recently for some of our clients. So to make those of you that are listening to this recording make life for you a wee bit easier, I've broken it up into 7 sections. So these 7 topics are the ones that we covered in the recent Xero seminar. So the first topic is on the Xero dashboard. Second one is covering off bank reconciliation tips. And then we'll go on to sales invoices, purchase and bills, GST returns, contacts, and then lastly, the Xero app. So for those of you that have a Xero Cashbook subscription rather than a subscription that enables you to put in invoices and bills, you will probably find that videos 3 and 4 probably won't be that relevant to you, but if you are interested in learning about these features, then by all means watch those videos. So to get started, I'm going to go straight back into Xero. And today I'm going to be using the demo company. Everyone has access to a demo company within Xero. When you log into Xero, up in the top left, you'll see the name of whichever organization that you're in currently. You can click on this name and then you'll see a menu that will say My Xero. If you click on that, it will then take you to another screen, which will then have a message sitting at the bottom of the screen or underneath the list of Xero clients that you have access to that will say, try the demo company. You can click on this link and then you'll get a demo company very similar to the one that you can see on the screen currently. And in this demo file, you can do whatever you like to that file. You can test whatever you want in it, and it doesn't matter because it's not live data. It's purely there for you to have a play around and test any ideas you might have. You can also reset the demo company if you want to revert it back to whatever you had before you started making the changes. You can do that through that My Xero page as well. So the first topic that we're covering off is the dashboard. So when you log into Xero, you'll get a view very similar to the one that you can see currently that has various boxes and screens that you can see on it. So firstly, what I'm going to cover off is how you can reorganize this layout to suit yourself better. So if you find that there's certain areas that you're not using within Xero or things that are cluttering up your dashboard and you want to change it, you can scroll down to the bottom of the screen, click on Edit Dashboard, and it will then change the view so you now have the ability to hide anything you don't want, such as expense claims if you're not using it, or if you're not looking at the cash in, cash out, you can hide that as well. You also have the ability, if you hover in the top left-hand side over the 6 dots, where you can click, hold, and then drag whatever it is that you're wanting to wherever you want that to be on that view. Once you're finished, you can then click Save Changes. It will then save the customized view that you've created. And every time you log into this particular Xero file, it will have this layout. Now this layout is unique to your specific login, so if someone else has access to the same data file as you and they log in, they won't have the customized layout that you've created. So if they access areas that you perhaps don't, or vice versa, they can customize the dashboard to suit themselves without changing anyone else's view. So the next thing that I want to make a few pointers on is just in relation to the bank accounts themselves. So on the main screen, for every bank account that you have set up in Xero, whether you've linked them with bank feeds or not, you'll see the name of the bank account that you've created, the bank account number, and in this case it's not there because it's a demo file, but normally you would have the logo of the bank that you're with in the top right-hand side as well. Down here there's a flow chart which gives you a running balance across various days, and then it has 2 balances. The first balance is the balance in Xero. So this is the balance of your bank account based on transactions that you have coded and entered into Xero. The next balance is the statement balance, which is the balance that is pulled in from your bank account when the bank feeds have activated. Bearing in mind that it will have a date, such as this one does here, which tells you that this is the balance on that particular day. So if you're looking at your bank account balance now and there's been transactions since the 18th of September, you may find that balance doesn't agree. So if you are comparing it and you want to make sure that the balance is right in Xero, do check this date before you do that. Now, if in this case you have 2 balances like we have here, what you should have is transactions here that need to be reconciled. And of course, that number being the 28 that we've got currently, will update depending on how many transactions pull in and how many transactions you have reconciled. Ideally, once you've reconciled all the transactions there, this view will change to only show the statement balance, and the balance in Xero will disappear, and it will have a nice green tick saying that everything's reconciled and you're all ready to go. If you have a scenario where you still have both of these balances and there isn't any transactions to reconcile, that means that there's a line that has been manually entered in Xero itself and not matched to a bank feed. If you've used something like batch payments, or you've put in a payment before it's actually pulled in from your bank feeds, then that will be fine. But generally that means that there's a transaction that needs to be fixed. And later on, when I do the bank reconciling training, I'll cover off some of the things that you can look for on how you can fix transactions in those scenarios. So the next area that I wanted to cover off is the invoice and bill graphs. So as I said at the beginning, if you only have a cash book subscription and you don't use the invoices or bills area in Xero, don't worry about these particular boxes. You can use your edit dashboard to hide them if need be as well. But if you are using debtors and creditors, then as you put in sales invoices into Xero, or as you load in bills, these graphs will update with amounts. So if you want to, when you log into Xero, you just want to go and create a new invoice, you can click on the new sales invoice button and it will take you straight to that screen. And the same deal with the new bill as well. The graphs represent different amounts of money that you're expecting based on due dates that you've put in. If you want to look at the individual invoices, you can click on these amounts and it will give you a breakdown of them. There's also a breakdown on the right-hand side telling you how many draft invoices you have, how many invoices you have that are awaiting payment, and then how many are overdue. Key thing to note is that the overdue amount is inclusive of what's in awaiting payment. So what I mean by that is the $9,000 of that amount, $6,900 is overdue. So it's not a case of that we're owed about $16,000. We're still only owed the $9,000. We're just saying that $6,900 is overdue. And the same logic applies with the bills graph below. Another area that you may find useful in Xero is what we call the account watch list. So this is any account codes in your chart of accounts list within Xero that you would like to keep an eye on either a monthly or a year-to-date basis. You can tag the particular codes that you would like to see on the screen by going to Settings and then to Chart of Accounts. Choose the code that you want to look at. So in this case, I'm just going to go to Other Revenue. And then you'll see there's a few tick options down the bottom left. Just tick Show on Dashboard Watch List. Then click Save. And then back on the dashboard, that account now shows. Now we'll also show the account whether there is a balance or not. So this can be quite useful if you have a contra or a suspense code that you have to journal in and then journal balances out of, and you need to make sure that it stays at a nil balance. I'd recommend enabling that account to show on your account watch list so you can keep a close eye on what that balance is and make sure that it is trending the right way. The next area I want to talk about in relation to the dashboard is the document manager. So in the top right hand side, you'll have this folder. If you click on that folder, it takes you to a files or a document manager screen within Xero. Each of your Xero files will have a unique email address, much like this one here. Now, you can't unfortunately change the details of that address, and for obvious reasons, I'm not going to ask you to memorize it. But what you can do is if you click on the down arrow, copy to clipboard, you can then go to whatever email server you're using, Gmail, Outlook, whatever that is, copy the address into there as a new contact, call it Xero Inbox as the contact name, for example. And what you can do is any invoices or bills that you're sent that are PDF attachments. So you get an email, you get an attachment with that particular bill that has all the details of that bill or some other information that you may need. You can then forward that on to your Xero Inbox email address. It will then input documents and sit them in this list, ready for you to then attach to transactions as need be. You can also use this area to save any accounting documents that you might have, so interest certificates or anything like that, as you receive them, rather than having to keep the bits of paper together and then remembering to send them through to us when we need to do your accounts. Now, the last thing that I want to cover off in this video relating to the dashboard is this plus button up here. So if you click on the plus button up the top, it gives you the ability, if you have the debtors and creditors in Xero, you can enter a new invoice or a new bill straight from the screen. You can also add a brand new contact and put in phone numbers, email addresses as need be. We'll cover up a bit more about contacts later on. You can also enter a new quote or a purchase order. If you have the ability to enter journals into Xero, you can also enter them from here as well. The last three options I would recommend to not use because it is actually faster to generate these transactions from your reconcile area within Xero rather than generating them from here. So that concludes the first part of the webinar in relation to dashboards. So I will then, next video that we're going to have is going to be on bank reconciliation.